Today we're going to make a pop-up card. Pop-up cards, they are really cool to make. Pop-up cards can look a bit complicated, but they are not hard at all. And once you see how it works, then it's easy peasy. Let's not waste any time and let's get right to it. To make the pop-up card, I have two A4 size pieces of cardstock. I'm going to fold one in half. And then I'm going to make some marks on the middle of the card. And then I draw a line. Next I'm going to draw some lines from the folded side. And I have one line at the top and two more at the bottom. I erased the smaller lines so I don't get confused when cutting up the parts. And then I'm going to cut on the marks I just made. Now for the longer lines I'm just going to wiggle cut. So I wiggle with the card a little bit so the line is not completely straight. And that way I make my line wonky on purpose, so you can see it's hand cut. You can also use a knife if you prefer that. When I'm done cutting the pieces, I'm going to fold the strips. I just fold them over to the other side and then I use my bone folder to make a nice crisp fold. And this will make it easier for the cardstock to bend as well. Then I open up the card, I turn it over and I'm going to fold it the other way around. And this will make sure that all the parts will easily move when opening and closing the card. So I'm not going to fuss with mountain folds and valley folds, I'm just doing easy folds. And now I'm going to add some details. First I'm going to add some color with ink and an ink blending tool. And this ink blending tool is one of my favorites. And because this blending tool has these soft bristles, the pressure on your wrist is not so much as with a regular blending tool with a sponge. And that makes a blending with ink a lot easier and less hard on your wrist. I'm adding my color basically in sort of smudges because I don't want an even smooth layer. So I'm making smudges on purpose. This blending tool also makes blending ink super easy. Not that I'm doing that now, but if you want to do some smooth blending, that goes great with this blending tool as well. And by the way, I have added a list with all the supplies I'm using in the description box below, so you don't have to go chase them if you want to check them out. Next I'm going to add some more details. I'm adding some lines with a pencil and I'm going for a bit of a vintage look. I'm just drawing some wonky lines. Then I have white spirit and a paper stump. And I'm going to smooth out those lines. And this way I can make them a bit softer so they don't have that sharp pencil look. And I think this already looks pretty cool, but it's going to be even better. I'm going to add some gray ink now. And again, I'm going for smudges and not for a nice blended result. I just want to create sort of an old wall look. Next, I'm going to fold those two side flaps to the back. And then I'm going to add some more color on those bottom strips. I want to turn them in kind of wooden planks, sort of. So I'm going to add some brown ink and then I'm going to make some marks with a brown pencil and blend those out as well. To finish my background I need some more elements. I have a bunch of red and white strips and I'm going to round the edges on one side. Next I'm going to add some tape to the top. And then I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to add some glue there as well, because I want to make sure that the middle one is going to stick really well, because it's going to fold, so it basically needs a little bit more support. And on the parts where the card is bending, I'm going to make those fold right away when I'm adding those little strips. And I cut off the excess pieces. A little folding and burnishing for a nice crisp effect, and to make sure that the mechanism is going to work really well. Next I'm going to use the panel with my second card. I'm going to make some marks so I can see where the top part is going to be. And then I'm going to add some ink to the back there as well, and some smudges. Then I'm going to work on some cool decorations. And I've made some drawings for this. I'm going to use my Polychromos Pencils again. They are really cool and super easy to work with to add some color to this milk can and flower pots. So I'm just adding some of the dark color along the edges and some of the lighter color in the middle. And then I have a paper stump again and my white spirit. And then I'm going to blend those colors out again to give these elements a bit of a tin look. No, a bit of a zinc look. Is that zinc? Yeah, I think it's zinc. And this is so fun to do because the effect is pretty darn cool. Next, another element that I need is a frame. So I have a rectangle, I cut out the middle part, and then I'm going to fold the edges and I'm going to add some ink to that as well. Here I have some more elements from the kit, also colored with some Polychromos pencils. Another pretty cool element that I have are these glass vases and bottles. I have a super simple way to color these to make them look like glass. First I'm going to add some color along the top, then along the edges with a little bit of white showing next to the color. So I leave a bit open and then add my color. And then I'm going to add a second color just in a few places. Then I have the white spirit again with my paper stump, and I start at the top and then just move my way down basically. I'm going to blend the colored part first and then I'm going to blend all the colors out again. And that's a super simple way to add some color and make it look like glass. I think it turned out pretty cool. I have put together a pack with all the elements to make your own flower shop, and they are available in my Gumroad store, and you can find it in the link in the description box below as well as in the link at the top here. If you love to work with flowers and add them on your projects, then this is a great pack to have in your stash. Here are some more elements that I colored and cut, and I'm going to layer the greenery with the flowers on top, and then I'm adding them to the zinc pot. And there are lots of options with this pack. You can mix and match and have lots of fun with it. Next I have printed my sentiment on a piece of vellum, and I have my frame. I'm going to add that on top with the word centered and remove the tape backing. And now it's time to put this baby together. So I have my background and I have the front panel. I'm going to make some marks again because my frame is going to be here and I want to know where I have to put my frame. So I'm going to put that in place. I have some tape to the back of the frame and I put it in place and then remove the tape backing. If you want to, you can measure if it's straight. Next thing I'm going to do is fold the card in half. So just line it up at the sides, fold it in half and then burnish for a nice crisp fold. And before I'm going to assemble my card, I'm going to make a small fold on both sides of the top strip that I colored with ink. This is going to make sure that there is some space between those two strips when you are folding the card. Then I'm going to add my panel on top. I have some tape to the back. I line it up at one side and top and bottom, so it's nice and straight. No, because the front panel is exactly the same size as my back. I can line it up at the other side in the same way. So for this one I just fold it, line it up and then remove the tape backing. And then the pop-up card base is ready for some decorations. Now this is one of my favorite parts of making cards. Assembling the card, adding the elements, playing around, moving all the pieces around on my card to see where they look best and make a nice composition. Now, because this is a flower shop, I'm going to fill it with flowers and lots of other fun items for any customer that may come by. So this card is going to be pretty filled with lots of fun details. If you are going to make this card, you don't have to stuff it up as much as I did. I really like my cards filled with lots of fun details to look at. The following day I decided to add a few more small elements, so I drew some more vases and a few hearts to fill the empty gaps on the shelves. This card was so much fun to make and I think it turned out really cool. And now you're all set to make your own pop-up card. So next thing to do, if you haven't already, subscribe here, watch more here, and as always, make sure to keep on crafting.